So you've come here for the truth. Well, we've got the truth and nothing but the truth. Here are your hosts, Robert A. Bianchi and David J. Bruno.
Welcome to WMTR Radio's Nothing But the Truth with Bob Bianchi, Dave Bruno. That's right, two lawyers doing a podcast about mindset. Love the show, Dave. We're getting great guests. Once again, another great guest. Let's hit it.
Absolutely. Michael Silvers, welcome. International businessman. He is a performance coach. He has shared the stage with top industry experts like Tony Robbins, Harv Eker, Les Brown, former President Bush, Gene Simmons from KISS, just to name a few. Michael has built a coaching business as well as masterminds for some of the larger companies in the world. He was the director for coaching for Harv Eker and Peak Potentials and has traveled the world training for Harv. He's trained, coached, and mentored in the entertainment industry, helped producers, directors, and writers, and he is now the managing partner at the Los Angeles Tribune Podcast Network. And their mission there is exceptional. And that is to help professionals create the wealth and lifestyle they desire and deserve. And I am happy to announce that the Bianchi Law Group's Nothing But the Truth will be on the Los Angeles Tribune Podcast Network. Michael, that is you and Mo Rock. And just one final point. We were so lucky to meet Mo, who is the owner of the Tribune. And he just recently got the Lifetime Achievement Award from President Biden on March 2nd of 2024. And I know how much that means to you guys and Mo and the Tribune and everything you guys are doing. So I applaud the mission. I applaud everything that you guys are doing over there. And it is an absolute pleasure, Michael, to have you on Nothing But the Truth.
You know, it's great to be on because it's really the messaging that we get out to people. It just, makes a difference. And is the honor of an award is not what you've done or what we've done, but it's how we've served and how we've made a difference. And I'll just dive in, but I was talking to somebody the other day because I actually just received that same award.
And congratulations to both you and Mo for the Lifetime Achievement Award by President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. I know you guys just recently got that on March 2nd of 2024.
Awesome.
But it's really, I'm a grandparent. I have 7 grandchildren. And it's what am I doing to affect them over time, and what am I doing to affect the world that we're going to leave them? And for me, if we do nothing else, that's what this is all about. So it's great to be here. It's great what you guys are doing because I actually have 7 attorneys in my family, so it's always the recovering attorney is the joke. But but you're making a difference because you're taking your information and knowledge, and you yourself are bringing out this information to people that normally wouldn't be able to get it. And I honor you for doing that.
Yeah, I've always said, Michael, that in the career path that we've had, and we've been we're very grateful for the gifts we've been given and the opportunities, and even being the head county prosecutor. I would always tell my assistant prosecutors, look at the more global aspect of what it is we're doing. I mean, anybody could do the nuts and bolts about being a lawyer and going to a courtroom and trying a case, but we're dealing with the front row of human nature and everything that's good, bad, and ugly about it. And every day we have an opportunity to make somebody's life better, not just in a legal sense, but because of the power and ability, the contact, the platform that we're on. And when I left that position, I think one of the greatest things that bothered me was losing the platform in order to have that kind of impact on society. So I appreciate what you're saying about what it is that we're doing here, because when we first started doing our inspirational blogs and working with Dr. Brene Brown and being trained by her and doing our Nothing But the Truth podcast, people back in the day literally laughed at us saying, like, what are you lawyers out there doing trying to talk about mindfulness and helping people? And now it's becoming more and more fashionable. So I appreciate your kudos to us.
Yeah, and I think that's great too, because, the events we did, obviously we saw just a couple people, and I was just having this conversation. One of my business partners is Mary Glorfield, and she was Tony Robbins' vice president for 18 years. They did 82 countries together. And we were talking about the kind of people that come into the events. And there was a big shift right around 2015, 16, We saw a lot of attorneys and we saw a lot of doctors. And we would always ask them, what is going on? What is that shift? And for them, it was, I can't keep doing what I'm doing the same way, even though I got into this to truly help people. I got into this to make a difference. But the rules and the mandates and the everybody's watching everything you do. I got sucked into a system. Mm-hmm. When I got sucked into a system, I lost who I was and I lost my perspective. So I'm not in your class to become a speaker and trainer, even though, yes, that would be great. They always say, I came here to refine why I became an attorney and how to make that difference. And what I love about what you just said is you started that globalization picture and really looking at that big picture from a system you were embedded in, right? But willing to make a change and help those under you. So you were already mentoring and taking out to the next step.
I just want to just bounce on one thing. It's funny because I'm going to be giving a lecture, a bar lecture, and about how to be a better trial lawyer. And everybody was talking about the nuts and bolts of things, right? And I'm just like, so after training and running an agency, I said, my slide's simple. It's going to be Teddy Roosevelt's Man in the Arena. And I just wish that wasn't so gender specific, but I used to have that hanging in the wall in the prosecutor's office. And about how fear and your mindset is the thing prohibiting. There's lots of lectures on everything else that we could be talking about. But we were doing this all the way back in 2007. And I have to say that I really do genuinely believe that when I was in this position of power, and I've always been very, very honest about the ups and downs of it, because an unexamined life is not worth living, number one. And two, if you can't impart that on other people, then you're being disingenuous. And I think you kind of mentioned this, and I'm curious your thoughts on this. When I was examining my life, I had, quote unquote, it all. I had the highest level of power that you could get in the position that I had attained my entire life. I had achieved a lifelong goal. I had people around me constantly wanting me to lecture, wanting me to be here, people that call you boss and sir, and all the fanfare and all the ceremony and all the plaques and all the ribbons and so on and so forth. But I never felt more lonely in my life. And I remember having this feeling that I've heard people say this, but I never felt it so profoundly, surrounded by so many people and being so alone. And why? It came down to this word to me. I realized I wasn't journaling anymore. I wasn't writing poetry anymore. I used to do amateur magic, and I wasn't doing amateur magic stuff anymore, going to the hospital and doing that for kids. And I felt, you know what? I've never been more inauthentic in my life, because I'm so, you jogged my mind when you said this, so worried about the public perception, so worried about what other people are thinking, so worried about blah, 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 that I lost me in the process. Does that resonate with you?
It does. And that's exactly what happens. We get into we get insular and we start to pull in, and it starts to be, especially when we start to get a title, right? Or we start to become bigger than we are, we start to worry more because now we have more to lose. And when you have more to lose, you start down that track of, I can't let it go because I like some of the things that come with it. And I think that's the piece is we need to always stay on top of that. What we do this every day. There's two things that always start our meetings. Number one, how many people did we serve? We don't talk about the money. We don't talk about how many people did we serve, and that always keeps us in the servant mentality. And the next step is very simple, feedback sandwich. We've done it forever. They used to do it every time Tony walked off stage. What works? What doesn't? What are we going to do next time? Keep it simple and easy because people can take that as a frame. And what that does is it helps you continue to move forward in a very simple way, where you stay a little bit in that servant mentality. And when you do, it doesn't matter what title you are. It doesn't matter the system you're in. And because you're in that system, and if it doesn't happen, like you go out of that system, there will be another system. There'll be another place to be, but it's having that confidence all the time. A good example is a friend of mine, longtime friend. He ran AMC for a long time. And so it was a big position, but if you walked into his office or you looked at, he never had all the awards there, the Emmys and it wasn't his persona. And if you ever put him on camera today, you wouldn't see 20 Emmys behind him. He's got right now the longest running show on Hallmark, 12 years. That's called residual income. because that's not who he is. So what you're saying is that's not who you were. And that's what I think we all have to realize.
Yeah, Dave,
don't make that who you are.
Dave used to laugh. I would never put an award or anything up on a wall. I'm like, that's all the past, and I could care less. Let's move forward and help people.
We still don't. I mean, if you come into our office, you will not find one single award or plaque or any, not our law license. We're both certified criminal trial attorneys by the New Jersey Supreme Court. You won't see it.
Yeah.
You know what you will see? Man in the arena. You'll see motivation, you'll see focus,
Gratitude.
You'll see mindset, gratitude. Those are the types of signs you'll see around here. And you know what? This idea of service, and Tony is someone that I follow. I'm watching him a lot, and it's a message coming from stage. Same with Brendan Burchard and Ed Milet and Oprah. Everybody's talking about this. Let's talk a little bit more about this service mindset, because you're in the industry. You've been doing this for years, decades. Tell us why it is so important to attach worth and self-confidence to service.
So the biggest piece about this, and again, let's keep this simple. There's a way to complicate everything. So first of all, we love to complicate. We're meaning-making machines. So let's not, everybody out there, take a breath. Awesome. Okay. Don't complicate this. Every time that you serve somebody else, you step outside yourself. So to see the world around you, you step outside yourself. So when we have clients, things going on, their business is going down, I didn't make another billion this year, whatever it is, even if I didn't make another $1,000, because everybody's in a different position. When you get stuck within your ego, you become living your ego drama. When you start to live within yourself, it's always good to step outside. So we always tell clients to step outside. Go do something for somebody else, because it takes you outside of your framework into their framework, and you see that it's not all about you. That is the simplest piece here to do every single day. And we've said to clients again, start your business meetings. How many clients do we serve today? How many? We know the numbers. We know all that other, and that will keep you outside of that. That's a simple answer to that question.
You know what? That's a perfect opportunity to take a break. This is WMTR Radio. It's nothing but the truth with Bob Bianchi and Dave Bruno. We'll be right back.
At the Bianchi Law Group, our team of former prosecutors and certified criminal trial attorneys specialize in criminal defense and domestic violence cases. When you need a law firm with courage, compassion, and the commitment to fight for you, call the Bianchi Law Group today.
All right, welcome back to Nothing But the Truth with Bob Bianchi, Dave Bruno. Michael, listen, you're throwing the fire here. You have the same passion that we do. You left off with service to others. Okay, now, I think that if you talk to any psychologist or you talk to any person, it's a very simple, and sometimes things can be so simple people overlook it, to step outside yourself. Dave and myself are talking about lawyer wellness, right? We serve people all the time. My dad's 91 years old and still practicing law. And one of the things I love that he used to say to me in his old school way, I mean, they weren't into this kind of stuff. In his old school way, was being a lawyer was amazing, because every day you have an opportunity to make somebody breathe a little easier. You may not be able to change the ultimate result, but you can be there for them, and maybe the only person that's there for them. And I try to say to our assistant prosecutors when we were prosecutors, to our lawyers here at the Bianchi Law Group, to our staff, that don't ever forget the fact that we're making a difference in people's lives by being kind and decent and professional and irrespective of the result. And we all can do that regardless of what profession we're in. I think that you help people along those ways too. Can you talk to me about your feelings on that?
Yeah, it's always, so if you take a look at, people say sort of, what's your why? And I always say it's, the joke is always, I talk about my wife, who has really been on this mission the whole way with me. We started this personal development road together. We started to travel together. We built the divisions together. And then it transfers to our grandkids, really taking a look at our grandkids. Why are we doing this? You have to look at your why. Why are you doing this? Right. And as you treat one, as you treat others, they're going to treat you. It's an inverse relationship. And so we want them to see that happening at all times. And that's the same thing with all my business partners, family first. We talk about that, but we also talk about how we serve in the community. And again, it does that great mind shift of of if life is truly about forgiveness and mercy, right? If those are some core values for most of us out there, how does that relate to those around us, and how do we bring that into the world? And by the way, I always got to say this to my children: I love you dearly, because I always talk about my wife and grandkids, and I always forget but it is truly, if it's truly about family, and it's about being merciful and forgiveness for your families. Everybody's your family. We're all humankind. So what I teach you to do is what you're going to then teach others to do, and that's how we fan the flames. And that's how we get it out there. And you're right. It doesn't matter who you are and what profession. I grew up with a lot of lawyers. My dad's a lawyer. My stepmom's a lawyer. My sister's a lawyer. I could just go on and on. But how are we going to treat others? And what you did, I love what you did, is you instill the belief system, and you help them with their belief system to be kind. And I think if you're always being kind, doesn't mean you're going to get taken advantage of. So people always worry about, well, that's not what it's about.
Yeah.
So, but being kind is how you treat someone, because how do you want to be treated? And that's from walking into a restaurant, right? That's everywhere you go. That person who comes up and says, would you like some coffee or water? Be kind. They have a family. They have a life. They're doing the best that they can. And we're doing that every single day.
I love it.
I do too. And, I'll tell you, Bob and I'll probably speak for the both of us, but before COVID, we weren't really aware of this on-stage community out there. We really, right? The masterminds and the master classes and the stages.
And the funny thing is, I was trying to do that for years and didn't know it. Like, I was going around giving those individual lectures. And so it's funny. When I'm listening to Michael and I'm doing the shows we're doing, I'm like, where was I when I was trying to grow that out, because I was really passionate about it. And this was all happening and I had no idea about it.
Well, COVID helped a lot, I think, personally, because when everybody's quarantined in their houses, they're on the phones and the computers and like Tony Robbins specifically, right? He built that massive studio in his home with all the Zoom screens behind us. And now we're so lucky to have people like you and Mo with the podcast network and the stages. So, how did you even get into this, Michael? When did you get into it, and how?
I'm going to be jealous when I hear this. I know.
No, it was just a couple. I think it was right around 1999. Right, the world was going to end anyway, so why not do something different? My wife and I really just dove into this adventure of personal development, and actually, it started with network marketing. But in the network marketing world, there was so much training that we dove right into the training side. We saw Bob Proctor, and then all of a sudden Zig Ziglar. This is the number one, and I didn't even know who he was, but I read the books and now I know who he was. That changed our whole mindset of how to move forward. That changed our mindset of everything we were going to do. And it's literally been almost 25 years now working from home and making a difference. So we started to just take a lot of courses, because really the advice was buy every course on the planet and read every book. So we started to do that, and that changed our mindset. That changed our trajectory for our whole life. And then, because of some of the courses we bought, and we were willing to go to Australia, we met a gentleman down there who all of a sudden wants to build a coaching division. And within a year, we're building a large coaching division in Australia. We have all these clients. We have events that are 1 to 3,000 people. We're now doing in Singapore. You have to make that decision, though, that says yes. If we had said no to any of that, we wouldn't be here today. It'd be a very different world.
So Michael, so I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the beginning. What is it that you're doing now? What are you doing to help people in particular? Is it in this space of speaking or what?
So we're really at this point, what we're doing is we want to get your message out there. And because we want the message to get out there, we also want to do something. We put podcasters on stages for years, but it's always the top 0.1%, right? And even if you look at the big networks. So what I've decided, and what's so important, and I talked to Mo about this, is what about the podcasters who are just starting and have a message? What about the people out there who just want to get that message out there? And we're going to really focus on, we have large shows, but we're going to focus on those shows that are just starting, that have a small population, that are in the mid, and we're going to give them a support every week to train them and to really mastermind almost every single week. We're going to bring in large talent that they can be with, play with, and get to understand that their message is too big to keep hidden. but their message needs to get out there, and we're going to give them the love that no other network does at those range, because most of the big networks really don't care unless you're in the top 1% or less. It's actually about 0.1. And so we do training, speaking, we have stages, we have virtual stages. We're just putting this really, think of it as a large media company that truly cares about these new up and coming stars in their own right. And we're going to massage them and train them and give them everything they need.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of these types of events and opportunities involve offers and packages and things like this. What's the position on your network? Is it just going to be to educate, and then maybe advertising is the revenue generating source?
So we educate, we enrich, we enlighten, we enhance. Like when we do our 7-day big virtual show, we don't sell anything. And so because we realize that we go out to so many communities, I mean, we had pictures coming back from the Philippines by villages watching the show. I know what they make per day. I know what so that's the service piece, right? And if you look at a model from a revenue stream, you're always looking at, how do I serve the clients at the same time you have to keep the engine going, right? You got to put the fuel in, you got to keep everything going, you got to keep the motor running. So we have people who want to spend more time with us. We have people who want to invest from that standpoint. And so it all balances out. Because again, whatever you do, it's like we're launching the Los Angeles Tribune Women's Journal. And there's a percentage of that journal, a large percent, that's always going to be for nonprofits, for charity, for great, those inspirational stories. And you could say, well, you're giving away a large percentage of the magazine. That's income generation. But that can't be the attitude. The attitude is, this is what we're doing first, and then how do we drive the engine from there?
So he may be able to fulfill my dream. I've been wanting to have a podcast called the Paunchy Balding Middle-Aged Lawyer Man Podcast. Maybe that's
what about Nothing But the Truth, Bob? I like that name better. Nothing But the Truth. With the brand.
This is what I got to do. I just got to open my jacket. Well, Michael, listen, that's really amazing. I think you're changing lives. You're giving people, what I'm hearing here is you're giving people an opportunity, because I know it's just like lawyers, right? I always say this, and we're very fortunate because a lot of people know us. We have big brand recognition in the state, but I tell people all the time, there are a lot of great lawyers out there that no one sees. There's no eyeballs on, and they're just tremendous, and they're starving because they can't get their message out. Sounds like to me, in the space that you're in, you're giving people that have a message, but maybe are too small to get it out, an actual opportunity. You're a conduit to make a great message out there, which is great for them and great for other people. Service to others. Is that about, do I have that right?
That's exactly right. Mm-hmm. The great thing about the Los Angeles Tribune is about those messages. Right now, for these 30 days of being Women's Month and what this is about, they're doing a daily show, and most of the women you won't even know. These are stories, and so we're broadcasting every single day. And let me tell you, for the team to run that, it's been amazing what they put together. But it is the whole focus and goal is to get those stories out there, to get that mission out there, and to fulfill what we're looking at is to really enhance, enrich, enlighten, but to bring those people forward, give them the platform they've never have had, and make a difference.
You know, I wish you could listen to our TEDx talks, because mine was specifically on what we call deathbed confession. At the end of the day, this is from my EMT experience, and I used to watch people say to themselves, I wish I had done this. I didn't do this. Somebody told me I couldn't do it. At the end of their lives, they're looking back with everything that they hadn't done, and they weren't making a difference. And I really, really respect, and I know we only have a short time left, and Dave wants to either ask a question or make a comment, the fact that you've taken your skills and your abilities to make the lives of other people better. I think you guys are on your way of having a great deathbed confession. So thank you it was a great interview. I'm glad that I got to meet you.
Yeah, and the opportunity to serve, again, just resonates from this interview, again, for me. Not only do you have that opportunity, but as lawyers, I see the opportunity to serve through people's challenges and problems. And every time that we're helping lawyers and you're helping service industries and professionals, you're helping more people exponentially. So, Michael, well done.
All right, Dave, where can we find this radio show? Where can we find this podcast? We've got all sorts of things going on where we can go live. You're going to have to lay it out, brother.
A lot of things going on here at Nothing But the Truth. It's on the radio on WMTR Saturdays at 9:30 Eastern. We're also live streaming on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and in Facebook. And after that, we drop the podcast in all the podcast platforms, and it's also available on nothingbutthetruthpodcast.com.
Michael, thank you. Where can people find you?
Yeah, lots of places. Really the biggest thing, Los Angeles Tribune website, click on podcast. If you want more information, there's a button down below. But really see what we're doing and honor us by going to those podcasts, listening to their messages, and then letting us know a little bit about you. I'm really excited.
Michael Silvers, thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much for your service. And let's get it on, Bob.
Let's do it.
We're the Bianchi Law Group, a team of former prosecutors and certified criminal trial attorneys.
But here's the thing. He put himself in a box when he said...
Relied on by CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, Law and Crime, and news leaders across the country for our criminal defense expertise.
In a search warrant, you have to have probable cause that a crime's been committed and there's evidence in a particular place.
When you need a law firm with courage, compassion, and the commitment to fight for you, call the Bianchi